ask them. Be like this father that spoke to his child, but not when he's 23. Don't be afraid that you are revealing America to him. Believe me, he knows more than you. I once had a father that called me, because I spoke about this by a Fabrengen, and a bacher took a achlata not to use the internet without someone watching what he's doing until he gets married. His father called me up, "What did you do to my son?" His father is a very important shliach, and a Chassidish Yid. He says, "What do you mean what I did to him?" So he says, you made him take a achlata. I didn't make him take a, he took a achlata. He was in, whoa, are you crazy? He says, what? He says, I need him. He runs the whole Beis Chabad. He sends out my emails. He runs my website. He's taking care of everything. I said, and he's only doing good things. You don't know him. I know him. We're here. We're in a place where if he wants, he could do anything. And I know what he does. I said, you know everything that he's doing on the internet? Yeah. I said, why can't you do it? He said, it's not. I don't know how to use the internet. He knows everything his son is doing. He just doesn't know how to use the internet. And we have to remember, even if our children won't be addicted, and we won't be addicted, even bumping into any of these things once, even if he's not the type to get addicted and he ran away and he never went back to it again, his pure mind was lost. He'll never be the same. He might not go back so often. He might not even go back one more time. But his ideas are different. What he's going to be looking for is different. His life was changed. I just want to finish off with some statistics that are important to know. I did some homework in the last few days. I didn't want to rely on my experience. I only see a certain angle. So I called up a psychologist that happens also to be a shliach, Yosef Shigalov. He's very helpful with many cases, helped many bachrim and younger lights. And I asked him, what are the statistics? And I called up a principal that's in touch with what's doing in a school, one of the local moistas, and I asked him, what are the statistics? So this is what I picked up. How much percent of our youth use the internet? I was happy to hear that it was only just above 90% of our children are exposed to the internet. There are close to 10% of the houses where children don't have access to internet. How much percent of children that have free access to the internet bumped into the lowest elements of the internet? And the shocking answer was over 95%. Know what you're talking about when you say those things that you shouldn't see on the internet. They saw them. How much percent of them were looking for it, and how much percent of them found it by mistake? So he said over 70% at least said that it was a mistake. And then most important, how much percent of these kids that are heavily involved or even just met it once, how many of the parents know about this? And the answer is, I don't know if that's a percentage. The kids are way ahead. The parents don't know what their children are up to. One principal told me that he called in a father that's a computer specialist and that personally built a whole system in his computer and disabled his child's phone that he bought him. He bought him I don't know if this is called an iTouch or one of these iPhone. Huh? And he personally, because he's such a professional, he managed to disable the internet connection. And he called the father in and said, I hate to break the news to you, but your son is involved and is getting other children involved with kach v'kach. And showed him some printouts from his email with links that he was sending to friends. He says this is from his phone. He says, I can't believe it. He said, I know the code. I made your son open it. Let me show you. And he showed him. His son outsmarted him. He's the professional. I don't know how many of us are professionals. We have no idea what's doing. And we have to know what's doing. Then I asked the professionals, what are the statistics of how much % of people are by nature addictive personalities, which means that they would get addicted to anything. Anything geschmack, anything excited, they get into it obsessively. It says 12% of all people are addictive by nature. Now, how much % of people in general have the risk of falling into an addiction? He says, well, it depends. He says, between those children that are not happy in the system, they're not matzliach in our moistus, they don't feel satisfaction, that's a 90% risk that when they're going to see something, they're going to fall all the way in. And it's going to turn into a real addiction. That's one number. A child that's not close with his parents and does not have an opened channel with his parents in any area that he is stands a double risk. Because if he doesn't have who to share it with, it sounds funny, but the pain that he has after the first time doing it, that itself brings him to continue. And I don't understand that myself. He has to have who to talk to. And if he doesn't, it doubles the risk. Every person at every age, no matter how successful they are, if they're in a bad mood, if they're sick at home for a week, and they're extremely bored, are all at risk. Bekitzer, everyone. And what the professional said was, there's two things we have to take care of. Reducing the vulnerability and the opportunity. Making sure that our children aren't in the high-risk children, and making sure the opportunity is not there for them. Because we can never know. One last story. And because it just happened, I heard it today, and it's fresh. I called up my shver, I told him, I'm talking about internet tonight. Share with me something to say. So I just want to tell you a phone call I just got. Pass it on. A mother called me in the morning, early in the morning, crying away. Said, my 16-year-old bacher that's in yeshiva, he's away from home, he's in yeshiva. He was home for Shabbos, the Shabbos off. He woke me up middle of the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, he woke me up. Crying. I thought something terrible happened. Something terrible happened. He said, in yeshiva I heard about a certain concept, and someone told me a certain address, but I never thought I would ever use it. To make a long story short, a month ago when I was home last time, we had a Shabbos off. I was on the computer Matzah Shabbos by myself, and I don't know how it happened, but I ended up by that site. And I was there till the morning. In the morning, when I got off, I realized what I did. So I never did shuvah like I did that morning. Went to the mikveh, and he learned chassidus, and he davened, and he was crying, and he was sure this is never going to happen again. And the whole month that he was in yeshiva, he was working on doing tshuva, and he felt terrible. But somehow, when he came home this month, and he was on the computer Matzah Shabbos, it happened again. But with one twist. He got to the point where they asked him for a credit card number. And it was in the middle of a video. And he wanted to see. And he didn't have a credit card. And we have to understand, this Bacher was at a matzav now where his brains were somewhere else. He went to his parents' bedroom quietly, went to his father's pants, took out his wallet, took out his credit card, and punched in the number. What was he thinking? I don't know. Only when he finished did he realize, what did I do? He went running back to his parents' room, crying, and he decided he's just going to tell his parents the truth. Schlepp me out. So she called for help. We have to realize, or we're going to wake up, or our children are going to wake us up. We have to wake up. This is the biggest danger around for our children, for our bachrim, for our younger light, for every one of us here. Yes, the older you are, it's less of a risk. But we should never be caught on a weak moment, on a bad day, when things are not going good. We should never be caught. Es soll nicht geprüft werden. I want to finish off with saying that as bad as it is, there is help. It is expensive sometimes, but it's cheaper than losing your life. There are good therapists out there. There are support groups. There's a 12-step program. Look at it as if it's addiction to drugs that would have to be dealt with in a professional way. A mashpia cannot help once it's a real addiction. It's not going to help. Might help you once you're getting professional help for an extra boost, but professional help is needed, and it is available. There are very devoted psychologists and group leaders. There's guardyoureyes.org, which everyone could go on in his own privacy and read a lot about this and read about things, how he could help himself. But this is something that we could take care of, and we must take care of it. I'm not going to read the whole letter, but there's a beautiful letter from the Rebbe in Chelik Chav Beis, Beis Shvat Tavshin Chav Beis, where the Rebbe is talking to an addict to alcohol. And the Rebbe brings out 4 very important points. First of all, this that you write to me, that you took a strong achlata to stop, and you fell again, don't fall into a depression, chas v'sholem. This is the nefesh habahamis that's trying to pull you down. If you'll be depressed, you don't stand any chance of getting out of it. Second of all, this is still part of the first, think about the danger that this is for you beruchnius and how this is destroying your life begashmius. 3 eitzes. First of all, maybe the Rebbe would say the first thing, learn Tanya. No. Don't walk around with too much money in your pocket. You shouldn't have enough money in your pocket to buy a bottle of alcohol. First thing. Second of all, make sure you're around good friends. And all of your friends are a good influence on you. Stay away from bad influence. Third of all, there are doctors and there are medicines. Go to a professional and listen to every single thing he tells you. The Rebbe finishes off, Kumuvan, you should have mishnayis balpeh. You should be able to occupy your mind with good things. I'd like to finish off with saying that yes, it's Mesiras Nefesh. It's very hard to disassociate ourselves from the leading tool in the world. I don't know if we have to disassociate ourselves completely, but there's definitely a compromise in the comfort of what we can have at home and what's going to be easy to get to and getting a good price on things. It might be Mesiras Nefesh. You'd rather give away this part of your Nefesh than losing Nefashis. And b'schus the Mesiras Nefesh, we should be zoiche to have chassidische nachas from all of our children. We should be zoiche to these galus and Mashiach Tzidkenu. Mehir v'yameinu.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Sternberg. The hour is late. I'd like to come to the Poel Mamish. As I'll say, Eza u Chacham, Haroya Sanelud. Sternberg spoke about many situations